and welcome to our online event that we're recording from South Africa. My name is Tebello Mokhema. I'm the first among equals for Female Wave of Change looking after the African continent. Before I introduce our speakers that are here with us today, we just want to remind you that if you're joining us, we look forward to seeing you on the Zoom platform. And we will be focusing today on the topic of Together Economically Empowering Women, as this is part of our global focus for the month of November, which focuses on economic empowerment. During this webinar, all microphones will be muted. The microphone speaker will be unmuted. We've got our technical support that's helping us through this process. Should there be any questions that you have as we go through the process, you see at the bottom of the screen that there's a chat box, and you can be able to type your questions there, and we'll be able to share the questions, and any of the speakers would be able to address them. For our speakers, kindly use your camera, which we will make sure that is in place. Of course, we want the world to see our wonderful speakers from South Africa, and that's why we're asking you to keep the camera on. For all the speakers, kindly know that the event is recorded and it will be used online. By joining this event, you will be giving Female Wave of Change permission to record the session and to use the recording online. So before we continue, may I just check with everybody who's our speakers? Are you comfortable to be part of the recording of the session today?
Yes, I am comfortable.
Okay, I see the nods, I hear the comfort. Thank you very much. So for those of you who are joining us from other parts of the world, we are sitting in South Africa and we are experiencing a heat wave today. So if you see any of our speakers sweating on the camera, don't be worried. We're all dealing with a heat wave. But all of us are sitting in comfortable spaces where we believe it's quite comfortable for us. So we have, you would have seen on our social media as we advertised the event that we've got several speakers that will be sharing with us their stories, their experiences around economic empowerment for women. We've got Precious Mvulane, who is an author and an entrepreneur and a teacher for entrepreneurs. We've got Cassandra Ilson, who's also joining us. Cassandra is a wealth management expert. And what I loved about talking to Cassandra is that in her wealth management seminars and talks, her focus is particularly on women in terms of how they should be managing their wealth going forward. We also have our member of the Council of Wise Women, Yvonne, who's always with us, supporting us, engaging and participating in our events, and more importantly, guiding us in terms of ensuring that we achieve the goals and the vision and mission of the organization. And I'm also proud to introduce our new ambassador for South Africa, Khomotso Mashalane, who recently joined us, taking over by the founder of Female Wave of Change, and this is Ingun. Again, Ingun has a very big passion for this organization, and we're always excited to be joined by Ingun as we have the events. So our event this afternoon is scheduled for just maybe over an hour, and during that period we will be engaging with the various speakers and presenters who will really be sharing with us their ways of wisdom when it comes to issues that focus on the economic empowerment of women. And to start our session, I'd like to then give the opportunity to our new ambassador, Khomotso Mashalane, to share a couple of words with us on what are her beliefs and what are her thoughts around economic empowerment of women. Khomotso, over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen who maybe they're listening. My name is Khomotso Mashalane. I'm the ambassador of Female Wave of Change, South Africa. Can you hear me? Okay. I have a master's in human resources from Edinburgh Business School, and my passion is also in designing clothes have my own business of floral art, and I'm very passionate about human capital. And my mantra is, when women thrive, businesses and communities thrive. So my passion is in human beings, it's in people, it's in women. And I'm very passionate about research regarding women and the challenges they're facing in their organizations, in their businesses, and in their communities. So that would be my short introduction for now.
Wonderful. And I think one of the things I've really enjoyed about working with Khomotso is really seeing her passion for women, and more really around ensuring that women get their voices out there to be heard wherever they are in the world. The next person that I'd like to give an opportunity to share a couple of words with us about who she is Cassandra Ilson. Cassandra?
Thank you very much. I joined the wealth management sphere because I went through 2 experiences that really changed my world, and I'm very passionate about women and what message that I can give them. How it all came about was I have been married and divorced twice. Forgive me, don't judge me. Some of us take a while to learn a lesson. But in those 2 experiences, the first divorce, I left everything for my husband, all the finances for him to look after. And when we got divorced, I actually didn't know how much money we had. I didn't know if we had investments. I didn't know if we had debt. I had nothing. And then when we got divorced, the week that the divorce went through, I was actually retrenched on the LIFO method. And I had to learn how to do finances pretty quick. The second divorce, I'd learned from the first. I was financially independent. So yes, you do miss a second salary. It's always great to have that extra salary. But I could carry on as normal. I didn't feel that hit. And the second divorce, I was able to actually, for myself, I could actually concentrate and focus on the emotional side and heal. So with the first, I was very worried about money. The second, I could actually worry about my emotional being. And today, I find very much women need to still embrace all this. They need to go and, you know, we always tend to leave our finances to our husbands, whether you got little money or lots of money. And my biggest urge today is please, ladies, get a financial advisor that you can sit with and plan, so that if in the event of anything that might happen, you will actually be able to carry on and cope. I've got a client that she's very dear to me. I hosted a breakfast, and she came to me and said to me afterwards, she says, Cass, I've got nothing. My husband died, and when he died, we lost the business. I have nothing. When I met with her, she did have nothing, because her perception of not having anything was, as money came in, she just handed it out. So she gave it to everybody, and she really did not have money. So we sat together, we did a budget, we stopped that handing out, and we started at the basics of having like a bank account. And from there, we saved and we saved. She was able, the other day,
Yes. Cassandra?
Sorry, I'm back. Sorry. The signal, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sorry. So the other day, she was able to actually purchase a car. So what we had done is we had saved enough money that she could put down a big deposit that she could actually buy a car. We now got a few investments going for it, and that excitement of somebody that really had nothing to be able to have something just means so much. And this is what we need to start empowering women. You know, women are still looking to men for their financial future, getting married because they think, I will always be okay. And it doesn't happen like that. Unless you're involved in the financial planning, it might not happen like that. So my biggest urge is for ladies, find a financial advisor, find somebody that understands you, that you can work with, somebody that will take the time to explain what you're getting involved in. Put your goals out there, work together with that financial advisor so that you can actually work to financial freedom or even independence. You know, whilst 2 people might mean for some people, it might mean, you know, having the best car or the best house. And for some people, and we find it very much in our millennials and the youngsters that come through, they want life experiences. So your wealth means a different thing to everybody. And that's when you sit down and you actually can decipher what that means for everybody. You know, you might have somebody that can never, ever retire. But you know what? They can live life now and enjoy life now. So it's not always about what I do. You know, we were just chatting earlier where we're saying that today people cannot retire. We're living too long. Our kids, you know, they won't be able to have that option to retire. So I start to speak to people about 5 to 7 years before retirement, their retirement that they're going to be retired, to say, take your hobby and start making money from it. So you can, even if it's 3,000-4,000 Rand extra a month, that you can still have some money and that you can still be independent. So my biggest, my worries that I see and what I'm trying so hard to educate women are is be financially independent. Yes, maybe your husband is a CA and maybe he is better at managing money than you. That's fine. But sit and have meetings with him. Sit with him even on a quarterly basis and say, okay, where are we? How much savings have we got? How are we looking financially? You don't know where he's putting the money. Be involved in your financial. So even if your husband is better, it's okay, but be involved in that. You know, if he had to pass away, would you know where to go first? Would you know where to get the money? Would you know what policies he's had? So be involved in your financial independence.
Cassandra, I'll come to the other points later in the session. Okay. I think what's key for me, what you're highlighting, is the involvement, because so many of us kind of think, whether we are married or not, we think, money will come and it will sort itself out. And I think what's important about what you're highlighting is that money will never sort itself out. You need to take it and you need to sort it out. So thanks for that. I think what I'd like to do then is to give our wise woman an opportunity to introduce herself and also give us a couple of words of wisdom on economic empowerment. Mami Yvonne, over to you.
Yeah, heartfelt welcome from warm South Africa. It's such a pleasure to connect to all these great women who have got beautiful stories to change. That, in my view, if we lift each other up, then we will change the world, not only individually, collectively, and as Africa and as the world. So I'm actually so inspired to connect to women. That's what I love, because over 50 years ago, I was raised by great women. So my story comes from that. I have seen women who didn't even have the education that we have and the resources that we have, but who were so self-sufficient, who were innovative, who were creative, who educated us, who used what was around them to create wealth. I have seen my mother baking fat cakes and selling them. Scones. I have seen her training other women how to bake, how to make ginger beer. But I've also seen them supporting each other and saying, let's form a society. Should anyone lose their life, then these 10 rands that we invest every week, every month will help us. So I come from that. I have seen the value of courage against all odds. And I have learned that circumstances don't determine, where you're going. And if you only are aware of what you have, your strength and all of that. So what I really value is that there is power in unity, and I'm driven by courage every day in my life that yes, I am fearful. Yes, there are things that I don't know or that I'm not aware of, but the humility to learn, the openness to learn, and when you know your strength, you would know where to find help. I think Precious is here as a great coach. She knows that Mami Yvonne is not a financial guru, but she's a lifelong student. And she's willing to see what is happening. And I think what I go around doing every day is to inspire women and to create that awareness that you are greater than you can ever understand. There is power within us. You just need that PIN code and that GPS to go to your strength, to go to where you've got the courage. And then in that way, you can invest in that. As I've shared stories where I've seen simple things being done by people who had so little to contribute towards the economy. They got involved in agriculture and they got involved in raising other children. How many women have you seen in the townships, around the shacks, in rural areas, who say, I am committing to make sure that these girls and boys, they are creating income and using other way and just tapping onto all kinds of resources and power that is around them. So that's what keeps me awake every day.
Thank you so much, Mami Yvonne. I think what you're highlighting is something particularly in South Africa and it maybe happens in other parts of the world as well, is the fact that when you look at economic empowerment, we don't necessarily have to always look at one formal sector. Women in particular have ways of using their nurturing ability to be able to find other ways of making money. It's either by making small cakes, it's either by looking after other people's children, it's either by washing other people's clothes in the same community. But what I'd like to link it with what Cassandra was saying is that even if they do that, at the end of the day, they still need to be able to understand those finances, because it will then improve on their wealth, on their focus on wealth management. And all those wonderful words then bring me through to you, Precious. Precious has a wonderful book that she wrote, and when Precious introduces herself, she says she started a business at 36 rands. At some stage, she was sitting at 36 rand, and now she's sitting in loads and loads of money. Precious, tell us more about your story. We need to unmute her. We can't hear you.
Thank you, Susie. My background is in finance. I've always studied business. And I honestly, when I started my business, after having worked at least, I think it was about 12 years, I thought I got it under control, this entrepreneurship. I thought I was prepared in terms of experience. Oh Lord, it taught me quite a bit. I think as women and as professionals, sometimes we get stuck in understanding what is on the textbook without really understanding the other side, that is the side of the psychology around money. For me, I could balance the book, I could see where the money was spent, why it was spent, but I didn't understand the psychology about money. But I also believe because we are women, we always have an emotional attachment in our businesses. When we start, which was one of my biggest weakness, I wanted to start this to help non-organizations that are actually not for profit, that are there to help the community and pull the community, only to find actually they didn't have money themselves for me to even to build a business on. So, and I'm saying to women, there's nothing wrong to actually look for making profit. Making money is actually good. You deserve it. You're supposed to live in abundance. You are gifted. Your gift must be rewarded as such. You just need to build yourself up and understand that it is a process. There's no shortcuts. You're going to have to be committed to learn. I love what Mama Kgame was saying, Mama Yvonne, saying that we have seen women working together with so little. And in South Africa, we also have seen women that had quite a lot, even political support, whom then somehow created this clash of having the high end and the low end. We now, as women, need to start thinking, how do we bring each other to have an inclusive economy that includes everyone? irrespective of the level of education, irrespective of where you're coming from. So for us as women, especially today, I'm of a view that we now need to come up with solutions that are going to include everyone to be economically active. And we can leverage that using the technology. We can leverage that using education as a tool to build every woman to understand how they should actually be making decisions. So that is why for me, financial literacy, including and put that with personal development is the key. We're going to have to make sure we have a right woman making the right decisions for us, and who actually leads by character and strong views and stand by the views, and we support them, not because they're women, but they prescribe to the values that we stand for. So that is what I'm looking forward, and I'm so glad this platform is available and it's going to be able to reach quite a few women, and it's actually a very low cost compared to sitting in some event. And this is good. We have to leverage on the technology. Thank you so much.
Able to create economic development and not necessarily spending a lot of money in terms of starting that, or also be able to use very cost-effective platforms to be able to engage with each other. And that's what I've loved about Female Wave of Change. The fact that we're all sitting somewhere where we're quite comfortable. It hasn't cost us much, well, except that it's costing us data, but other than that, it's not costing us a lot to be able to engage, to be engaging with each other. Precious, if I could just stay with you then. If you look from a South African perspective, legislative-wise, do you think that we have the right legislation in place to be able to support economic empowerment of women in our country?
I think we do have a legislation. What we are lacking is strong women who have a leadership role, who actually claim for it from all the spheres of government, from local government to even into, and hold the politicians accountable, and make sure that we have a higher representation that is based on the population. We actually have had a setback in the past, actually 10 years, in the representation in parliament, in the number of women in leadership. We also know that there has also been a reduction in the public sector, especially when the release of the employment equity was actually released. That indicated that we're actually going backwards. So I'm of a view that the legislation is there, but we don't have implementers and people who are lobbying for the issues of women. We also are not very aggressive to actually refuse to take politicians. They constantly are choosing each other as men in this political position. We're not seeing strong women coming through with a stand. And when you find a strong woman, they're generally cast out. Look at what happened with Mokhema. I mean, she could have done quite well. There's several women I can mention that have actually led. Even with what happened with the public protector, when she was actually standing up on a politician that was corrupt, not doing the right thing, she was casted out. So what I'm saying is that as women, we have to actually hold politicians in every position we hold in our communities and ask, where is the woman representation in this platform? And two, we also have to say, how do you hold those who are sitting in that power, including women, being accountable? Some of them, we see them, I mean, for example, in South Africa, we have a chairperson in parliament who's a woman, but she does not proactively making sure that women's voice is actually understood. A woman's issues are raised. We have lots of issues which are social issues on rape. That is the indication that we're underestimating the value of a woman. So those are the issues that we do have policy, but it's not enforced. There's a women is always undermined. Actually, they get degraded about what they wear, what they look like. You know, there's a whole list that they get to be subject for. But I'm saying all the women have a role to play and claim for their place and raise it. I love what happened recently with the NDP, the public protector interviews, where one of the lawyers asked, where's the women representation on this? And that is what we need to do. Whether they like it or not, we just need to raise our hand and say, where's the women representation?
That most of us, as we get involved with Female Wave of Change, is becoming more and more conscious of that. And in the platforms that we're in, to always be asking the question, where are the women? In fact, it's so interesting that these days when I see any adverts of an event and I just see, you know, pictures of men there, my first question is, where are the women? Because there's a voice that we're leaving behind that could come in. Cassandra, from your perspective, again, looking at legislation and looking at, you know, wealth management, do you think that the legislation in South Africa is sufficient to be able to address the needs of women when it comes to wealth management?
So I believe I actually agree very much with Precious. There is definitely legislation, and we are seeing women from my side. I'm seeing women coming up where you're seeing women starting to earn, still not the biggest salaries, but it is starting to turn very, very slowly, but it is starting to come. I think, yes, we need to, as women, we need to support each other. You know, when women get to the top, they need to look at other women. We need to, what I would like to see in corporates is that maybe there's more education for women. You know, we have Women's Month in South Africa, and it's great. You can be invited to 100 events in that month because it's just concentrated on women. But then after August, then it's finished. So I would love to see corporates then take it from Women's Month, but have it as an annual thing. So let's have more education. I do work with some corporates where we sit and, you know, obviously the HR year, what the common themes that are coming through with the women where they're battling. Then we sit and we do a program. So we might start and talk about debt. How do we manage our debt? How do we budget? You know, so even from that, but then we can get to the executives where, you know, where they've got different needs and different, you know, even on their wills and their plan, their estate planning, very different needs. But that's what I believe. It's great to have all these initiatives, but we need to have that keep follow through so that women are actually empowered. You know, our role has always been, and very much in South Africa as well, is women are the nurturers. We're there to look after the family. It's very cultural. And we need to, and women are stepping out. They're definitely stepping out. But we just on the back foot, just slightly on the back foot. So if we could just have this little bit of counseling, or this little bit of knowing what's going on, then we can take it forward and we can start running. I do believe that even in the schools, we need to start educating. Okay, we'll do boys and girls, yeah, but start educating on these sort of matters so that when they get out, they understand the importance of money and they understand what money is also about. And like Precious said, it's your relationship, it's that psychological attachment, or that how you look at money. And that to me is very, very important. And I think if we could get that, where there's more education, we can push this more, and we could get corporate to buy in as well. Women are the best. What I find, women are best savers. They really know how to save. They know how to actually manage money. They just need to be tweaked just on the different products. And it's not scary. It actually is not scary. It's just to get that basics. And once we've got that, then it's our women that can teach our kids. Our aunts can teach their children. You know, it's that sort of thing that we need to see more of in South Africa. And I think worldwide, I think all kids need to be educated.
Thanks, Cassandra, for that. And talking about wealth, it brings me, I'd like to pull Ingun into the conversation. All over the world, you've engaged with various women in politics, in business. So from where you're sitting, from a legislative point of view, have you seen any creative ways that other governments, or even the governments in Netherlands, has used legislation to help women to become more economically empowered and involved?
Difficult question. Well, you know, in a way, if I look at legislation, I always say they're 2 steps behind of what is really happening. And that is where the problem starts. You know, if we, you know, especially after the month of the human rights, you know, we saw so many things happening around the world and violating human rights, women's rights, you know, in most of the situation, because of the violation, women and children are the victims. So we, you know, after the Human Rights Month, one of the conclusions was we need to economically empower women. It's very important, because then if they are economically independent, financial independent, you know, they can decide on their situation. They don't have to stay in a bad marriage if they are financially independent. Things like that, you know. So it's, if I look at the government situation, for instance, here, you know, most of what they're doing is still talking about numbers. And that I always say that's the very masculine way. You know, they have the spreadsheets, they will say there's so much percentage, we need women in the boardroom, we need women in politics, and we're not doing that. So I think if you look at numbers, we're still not doing what we need to do. And especially, you know, the women's issues that they address is they talk more and more about diversity. So it's diversity in the boardroom. It's diversity in, you know, in all kinds of jobs. And if you look at the situation, what they mean with diversity, do you know that the gender issue loses? You know, so it is all about cultural differences. It is all about handicapped, and I do believe that is very important. It is all about the LGBTQ. So there's all kinds of different issues that they will have to, that companies and government will have to deal with. So if they can choose, they should not be choosing on because of the numbers. They should be choosing because women are really able to do their job. And I do believe that also, you know, if we, you know, I am someone, but that is a very personal situation. I don't look at politics so much to solve our problems. I do believe that if we want to solve it, we have to start creating, and we have to start creating now. If we're going to wait for legislation, that will take a long time. But we can start creating, and we can start feeling responsible of what the situation route is. So it's all about awareness. It is all about taking responsibility. It is all about creating instead of waiting, because that is that is what I see here. It's a lot about waiting. It is a lot about, and I love what Cassandra said, but we've been talking about it also a little bit before we started, about, you know, the retirement situation. Please be aware that the older generation is growing. It is going to be huge. So retirement and you know, being able to pay for your retirement. Here in the Netherlands, we still have our government pension. You know, it's something that was created right after the World War. And the situation right now is that, you know, we have been saving, well, we have been paying for this government pension today, and it will also be spent today. That's okay, because we have, you know, our generation, my generation, is still paying for the generation of my parents. But the younger group that is coming, I'm from the baby boom generation. That group is huge. And I think that the next generation, our children, will not be able to pay for our government pension. So there's a lot of things happening. And of course we can start fighting the old. I always mention it. Don't fight the old, create the new. If, of course, something has to be done, you know, with legal stuff, and I do believe that's important. But start being aware today that it is our responsibility to solve it now.
Great. Thank you very much, Ingun. And that brings me then, I would like to pull in Mom Yvonne into the conversation, because one of the ladies that Mom Yvonne has worked with, you know, a couple of years ago did exactly that, you know, started creating from nowhere. Mom Yvonne, would you like to share, you know, some of the experiences that we know of that Mom Francie has done in terms of helping women to become economically active?
Yes, absolutely. I have learned so much from that great woman. Let me start by sharing what stayed with me just in my association with her. It was that nothing will happen until you move. Take action, but use your strength. Use what you have. So she's a simple woman. She created a model that she calls Invest to Empower. I care about the disabled. I care about the disadvantaged, and that is where I want to focus, which is perhaps some of us don't take time to do that, to say, are we aware of the economic environment? Do we know what is the economic status of our country? But also, are we creative and innovative enough to see where can we tap in? So Mama Francie tapped in uplifting the disadvantaged and the disabled. She uses this model that I will invest and help you wherever you are. However, let's have a plan. Use your skill, use what you're passionate about, use your strength, and I'd like to see results. So she started working with Mom Barbara, who just chose that I will look after the street children and I will transform girls who sell their bodies to something else. And Francie mobilized so many options and resources, very little. But the short story that I can tell you is that today Mom Barbara is running a home called Time for Change, having been inspired and guided and empowered by Francie, where those girls who used to go and sell their bodies, they are now actually running a bakery and making money and loving themselves. Some of them have gone to school. The other one was graduating as an accountant a few weeks ago. But she has also taken boys who are smoking glue and doing all sorts of things. One of them, as we speak today, is an engineer. And some of us are waiting for someone to show us the way, to move, to do things, and we are still feeling that we are victims. But here's a model, and that model has been so useful that I think they have tried to go and share it in other countries, in Botswana. She does the same in Zimbabwe. We've got Ingun spoke about the old age and retirement and all of that. So Francie is looking also after women in rural areas. They're doing farming, they're doing agriculture, and they are doing things for each other as well, looking for those who are bedridden and all of that, and finding people who can support that. But I think for me, the greatest learning of this journey is that once you are aware of who you are, aware of the environment, aware of the economic status of your country, but even better, aware of the opportunities that are around you, and take action to drive the change. Because as women, unless we own our journey, and unless we walk together in this path, and unless we've got a common agenda, it's not a new thing. When I grew up, I saw great women like Mamu Sisulu, Mamu Winnie Mandela, Mam Helen Kuzwayo, who stood together and said, not in our name. We will not carry anything called the pass law, and we will not embrace anything that is standing between us and greatness. And we know there are only two things that will liberate our country: education, knowledge, information, but also a clear agenda, and something that you wake up to and say, in 50 years' time, women will be empowered. Women will be doing different things because I have done this small thing. We've just seen the Invest to Empower model there are more models that we can. And sometimes if you look at my own journey, I could have taken another chance as a woman and say, oh, I've been through so much trauma, let me rest and wait for my death. But even if I have a challenged left brain, but I use my right brain every day to go and inspire, to awaken hope, and to be that image and voice of hope, to say, you know what, you even have a strength to say, death, wait a little bit, not now, later, I still have a mission. But that mission must be clear. And that is why when I saw the female wave of change, I said, here's an opportunity. My voice is still working, so why not? That's another resource. Maybe we're looking at too complicated things to effect change. And I can tell you right now that the real freedom will be when we are self-sufficient, when we are financially independent. And as you said earlier on, that when we have the knowledge, when we are financially literate, I mean, I took early retirement. Had I met you before, or my sister, things would have been different, because also we don't plan ahead, and because we don't know the status of our economy, because nobody creates that awareness, and we don't take action. So you just moving and thinking things will happen. You find yourself as a pensioner and things are different.
Great. Wow. Listening to Mom Yvonne every time, you know, there's always something that comes out that you pick up. And as I'm sitting here and listening to the stories, I think one of the key things that's coming out very, very strongly for me is around, as women, we need to take responsibility for our future and our economic health at an earlier stage than waiting for a life event to take place, or for a death, or for a divorce, or something to happen, when you can still be able to do those things when, you know, the opportunity is there. I'd like to now raise a question with Khomotso. So we've spoken about women being involved, and we've heard about women being involved in agriculture, in the rural areas, even in the smaller communities. From where you are sitting, where do you still see gaps that, you know, there are still areas where we haven't even heard of, or we're not even thinking of participating in as women?
Well, that's a very good question, Tebello. In my view, there are lots of gaps. I think my issue is that most people, and that is government, businesses, women, leaders, do not understand that there needs to be a certain level of leadership. We need a paradigm shift. Why? Because the new world has new demands with insufficient resources. And we have gaps. I mean, we can have good policies, we can have good leaders, but as long as we do not understand the shift, then we will not understand how we will be able to implement the policies. We are living at a time when many communities and organizations do not have the luxury of adding new resources or transferring resources. We must just find the capabilities within the current ranks. It is time to look at the most unutilized resources within government, within non-profit organizations, within businesses, within families, within churches. And there is a resource the world needs to tap into, and that's the intelligence of women, to really maximize that resource. And the greatest leadership challenge of our times, it's not sufficient resources per se, but rather our inability to access the most valuable resources at our disposal. So creative leadership is clearly a critical force. We need leaders who can be multipliers, not diminishers. There is a difference between the two. Multipliers get things done by involving more women in critical positions. Multipliers are creative leaders who use their intelligence, and that is at every level of, you know, policy making, government, businesses, and everywhere. So multipliers are able to access intelligence of other people and utilize it to the maximum. And it must not be done by ticking boxes. I mean, HR, I know that, in most cases, people just do it just to, for compliance purposes, but it has to be a conscious effort. It has to be a lifestyle. It has to be a culture that you adopt. It must not be done by ticking boxes only. Diminishers are leaders who diminish the intelligence of other people, especially leaders. They work with intelligent women, but women's intelligence is diminished around them. Women shrink around them. They do not empower other women. They want to be the only roses amongst the lilies. And there are some women who are like that, unfortunately. So before we can start blaming men and other leaders, I think we should look at ourselves as women, how we want to change this mindset of us as leaders. Are we multipliers or are we diminishers? Are we able to empower other leaders and open doors for other women and be able to identify the talent within every woman that you come across? So that's very critical, because you can change policies, you can change everything within the organization, but as long as we don't have that mindset and make that conscious decision that it's a problem. Multipliers identify, they grow the intelligence of other leaders, whilst diminishers shut down the smarts of those around them, especially women. So according to a book called Multipliers by Liz Weissman, there are 5 vital characteristics. If we still have a chance, I can give you those characteristics and show you the difference between multipliers and diminishers. And that starts at government level, businesses, organizations, churches. We need just to tap into that, those skills of women, because every woman has a skill and a talent and intelligence. And that's what we need to really focus on.
Thank you very much. I think I love this idea of bringing the concept of multipliers into Female Wave of Change, because if you look at the mission and vision, ours is to be able to connect women from across the world, from all levels of life, and from all walks of life, and be able to share with them, allow the women to be able to share their knowledge, to share their experiences. And as you spoke about the concept of multipliers, I just thought about to say, isn't that what we're doing in Female Wave of Change? Creating a platform to be able to get more multipliers, whether it's within the one country, for example, in this instance in South Africa, or in the continent or globally. But the more we share our experiences, the more we share our stories with each other, the more we're able to help and support and assist each other. But one thing I'm hearing a lot here is around how women are not supporting each other. And I think in lots of organizations, this issue really has been coming up. Let me come to you, Cassandra, and say, in your experience working with wealth management, where have you found women being able to support each other? So I'm wanting to take this experience from the negative that says we don't support each other to saying, hey, I personally have had this experience where I've seen women support each other.
Okay. I've actually worked now with corporates, and it's actually wonderful to see where you'll get one leader and you'll get a strong leader that will come in, and she'll start to bring in the management, and she'll bring it in slowly. But as she's bringing them in, she's actually nurturing the rest that are going to follow suit. And that's actually wonderful, but you need a very, very strong woman to actually lead that process. And I'm finding that quite a bit when you've got one strong woman, she's able to open those doors, open those opportunities, allow women to put up their hand and say, give me a chance, I can do this. And I'm finding that in a lot of corporates now, but you do need that very strong person that can open those doors for the woman. What I'm also finding with the women is that as they're climbing together, so you will always have the one you always have to have a manager, and you always have to have, but they're starting to support each other. And it's not about, so yes, like you said, there will always be that one woman that she doesn't want to share her post. She wants to be the only woman. but a lot of times there's a lot of people that want to. Women are starting to say, no, let's support each other, let's grow each other. Do you need courses? Because I'd like you in the position, so let's groom you for the position, let's get you. So I'm finding it very much in corporates now, where if you've got a strong woman at the top, she's allowing those opportunities that are coming through for women. So I'm seeing quite a positive movement within the women, and it's actually great, because when you actually go into a meeting room and you can sit and converse with a woman, you know, you might make a point which majority of the men wouldn't understand, but the woman will pick it up and she'll be able to click on it and run with it and actually contribute something proper to that meeting. You know, women and men are different. We see things different. And that's where women are starting to add value in the boardroom, that they see things multi-dimensional, not probably one-dimensional. I think men won't enjoy that, but and that's where women are giving each other the chance now. But you do need a strong leader at the top that opens up those opportunities for the women to come through.
Great, thank you for that, Cassandra. Precious, welcome back. One of the things that you have been doing, Precious, that we are aware of, is really helping entrepreneurs to improve their businesses from a financial standing. Can you give us an example of one, other than Mom Yvonne, because we've heard that you've really helped her, but another organization that through the work that you do in terms of helping entrepreneurs to be able to improve their financial knowledge, where you've seen a success based on the work that you do?
Thank you so much. I don't know what happened to my video. I'm trying to start it again. It's just not allowing. I've logged in and out. So apologies if there's just a black screen. Oh, there is so many women that I've worked with. But I want to just pick up on a few things where I saw a really big change. I saw a change I generally will say a big change in entrepreneurs that realize that they are the driver in their economic freedom. The women that take their own strength, their own resources, the little that they have, even if it might seem little, and use it to multiply it within the environment. And women that will say, I'm responsible for how I brought myself to this situation, and it's only me who's gonna actually take myself out of the situation. I also have seen that those women are the ones who are gonna ask a question that says, Precious, how do I actually do this? Where do I actually start? And I wanna go back to the point that was mentioned earlier by Mokhema again, that's saying that for you to make an informed decision about your economic empowerment, you have to be aware of the economic issues and environment therefore for you to allow yourself to be able to make an informed decision. When you are not aware, then that is where there is a problem, because then even you don't even know what's the state of the agenda, let alone your own goals. So how then are you then going to have a proper economic value into a market? But I also feel in other instances, as women, we generally discount our value in the marketplace. We're the majority, for heaven's sake, which indicates we have economic power in the landscape. And yet maybe the pocket might not be that deep, but our collective numbers in volume do add up, which then give us what? An economic empowerment already, because we can actually collect ourselves and be able to say that product does not work or that issue does not work for us. But I also want to just close that in other instances, at the recent case, I was speaking in another engagement where I was saying that, you know, in South Africa, I get more SMSs about funeral covers than about investment. Why should I be planning for death, for heaven's sake, instead of planning for my financial abundance? Why am I not getting some company telling me, here's some equity to buy on, here's some investment to actually look at? I think as women, we have been taking these things. Yes, maybe at some point it was a survival of us looking into this product, but we better actually now look back and say, where is my economic abundance? Where am I actually gonna take my life? And stop surviving or living for death, as Inga was saying earlier. For some reason, we have actually living longer, which indicates we're gonna need the money to actually last us longer. Therefore, we're gonna have to take control of that, be aware of what is happening, but start planning for abundance, not just to survive.
Wow. Wow. You know, based on what you've just said, I just feel like going on and on and on with this conversation because there's just so many lessons out of it. I really love the example that you're giving, that instead of receiving information around funeral covers, why are we not receiving information around investments? And I think, Cassandra, maybe there's an opportunity for you to be sharing more with women in the Female Wave of Change platform around the various investments that are available, because we are here, we are alive, we're still going to continue. We also have to be creating a platform or a foundation for our children. And in some instances, it's not our own children, but it's children of our family members, children of so many other people that still look up to us as women to be able to support them. Ladies, we are coming to the end of this powerful, powerful session, which I am so proud to have been part of. And just, I will ask then each of our speakers to maybe just give us one action, and not just any action, but one actionable thing that Female Wave of Change can do to take this conversation forward and make it a reality, so that it doesn't just become another platform where we spoke about economic empowerment, we shared our stories, but that's where it ends. So let me, in that instance then, Khomotso, may I start with you? What is the one action that you believe you're going to lead South Africa to do when it comes to economic empowerment?
Just one.
Yes, just one.
Okay. I'm going to try to give you one.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, there are many actions. You know, since I became the ambassador, I think it has done something to me, because it just made that paradigm shift. The positivity, the energy within Female Wave of Change. So what is important is that in businesses, in government, in churches and communities, it is no longer about competitive advantage, it's about the human capital. And that is the most important thing that I think many organizations take for granted, especially women, where women are involved. So that is, you know, the most important thing. And the other thing for me is that
Khomotso, you have to speak a little bit louder because we're losing you.
always emphasize that emotional quotient is important, which is EQ. But lately, AQ, which is adaptability quotient, is also very, very important. And I believe they are quite actionable. So whatever we do, every action we take must, you know, keep that in mind, that we need to be aware of this element.
So we need to be emotionally intelligent, and adaptability is another issue that's come up. I love it. I love it. Mami Yvonne, what's the one action that you believe we need to be taking to take this topic forward?
You know, Tebello, that I love a story. For me, is use the power of story to change the spirit. Women love each other. Women are powerful. Women can do things together. And let us have those role models, and let us have networks. We should be an example worldwide that here are women who are not just feeling sorry for themselves. They are saying, as women, we can unite, we can change the world, and here's where we start, and we are doing it. So for me, that's it, because I believe in the power of me. If we can show people that it can be done, and it was done. So please tap into indigenous knowledge as well, because this is not a new thing. Of course, we don't want to stay in history because we love not only his story, but our story as well. But you can tap into that. We've got so much knowledge. Maybe you can look for something like that. Wow.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Yvonne. And I think from an African perspective, that's also such a key element. And we have so many indigenous stories that lead forward, into the future. Cassandra, now that you have been engaged with Female Wave of Change, you've shared with us, your experiences and some of the key things around wealth management. What is the one action that you believe as Female Wave of Change we could be able to take to make sure that this topic of economic empowerment becomes a reality for women going forward?
Just meeting the caliber of women and the professional women and the wise women. Just parting your stories, I think women can learn so much. Just it's sitting today, like I said, it's such a powerful event, and we could carry on for much longer. And I think it's those experiences and it's just those wise words. It just takes something just to trigger. And that, to me, that is what is so different about Female Wave of Change, is that we've got these empowered women that can lead, that can actually guide, and that other people can also look up to, other women can also look up to and start engaging, so that we together can actually be this powerful empowerment change for women.
So what you're basically saying is that you today have engaged with very powerful women who need to ensure that they use their power and they share it out there in the world. Yes, I am so excited to be around powerful women. Thank you very much for that, Cassandra. Precious, what's the one action that you believe we can take to make Female Wave of Change make a difference when it comes to economic empowerment?
I think the first part will be women, for you to be economically active in an economy, you have to empower yourself. You have to empower yourself daily. I read 2 hours a day and listen to audiobook all the time when I'm stuck in traffic. And that investment has helped me to be better equipped to face my challenges. We crunch and not actually succeed in things because we don't grow above our challenges. So if this issue of women empowerment is such a challenge for us as women, let's then educate ourselves daily and grow. And that's the only way. So start taking charge of reading even the papers when you don't even know what it means, and keep on reading and reading. Come to platforms like this and don't stop until your bank account change.
Wow, I love that. Don't stop until your bank account changes. Wow. That is so powerful. Wow. Ingun, I will come back to you. One thing that Ma'am Yvonne has asked is if we can be able to just say, what's the one word that we take out of today's session? And let me start with Ma'am Yvonne. What's the one word that you take out of the session?
Courage.
Courage. For you, Ambassador Khomotso?
I say, I heard it somewhere that a knowledgeable man has to learn something every day, but must also unlearn something every day. So it's about learning and unlearning.
Learning and unlearning. Precious, if we had you on video, I would have asked that you show a copy of your book, because Precious has a very powerful book that she's written. But let's see, maybe before the end of the session, otherwise we can be able to post it onto our Facebook page. What's the one word though, Precious, that you're taking out of this session?
I think for me, the one word that I am taking is that it is possible. It is possible if we have got ourselves this far. from all the years we have been under apartheid, under huge issues that we have had, and women have come this far. This is absolutely nothing. It is possible.
Great. Thank you very much. Cassandra, on your side?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. The first time I lost signal.
Okay, so the question is, having been part of this session so far, what's the one word that you've taken out of participating in the session?
Sure. There's been so many, it's actually hard to get it down to one. I think, yes, it's about taking control. It's about, and even engaging with the woman, it's about, you know what, everything is possible. And to actually go, it doesn't matter how scary it is, you've got to take that first step. And once you take that first step, you start to find out, you start to grow, you start to learn. And that is what is important.
Wow.
Okay,
So taking that first step and having the courage to take that first step. Wow.
Yes.
Right, Ingun, we come to the end of the session. What have you, what are the two, you're the only person I'll give the opportunity to say, what are the 2 words that you're taking out of this session from South Africa?
I think it's impossible to just say 1 or 2 words, you know, and especially for me, I think. You know, the last couple of days, we have been working really hard to get everything ready for the launch of the Women Leading in Change program. What is very clear for me is we need more women leaders. We need more women who own their leadership and, you know, who really dig into themselves and find that inner leader and take the next step, because that is the way to really start empowering yourself and start empowering the people around you. I have seen the total program of the Women Leading in Change program, and, you know, it's all there. It's all there. So I am really excited that we are going to bring this program into the world next Monday and really work together on, you know, on awakening those leaders anywhere, because, you know, the situation, of course, this is from South Africa, but it's not that much different. It's not that much different from anywhere in the world. So I really would like you to invite a lot of women to join that program, because as we are sitting here, you know, we're very powerful women, but we need to inspire all those other women. So I think as Female Wave of Change, we are on the right track to really support everyone in your country, but anywhere in the world, to support all these women to find that inner leader and to act on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're listening from, it's really been an honor and a pleasure to be leading this conversation. There are so many words of wisdom that we've gotten out of today. And I think for me, what's been key is, again, the reminder that as women, if we're going to take control of our economic development and the future of ourselves economically, firstly, we have to take the first step. And secondly, we have to take control of our future. Nobody else is going to do it for us except doing it for ourselves. So thank you very much, wherever you are in the world listening to us or viewing this video. Thank you for participating. It's really been an honor and a pleasure to be part of Female Wave of Change. And we look forward to seeing you in our next events that will take place during the course of the month. Continue to check our social media pages on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook, as that is where we are posting a lot of the information about our future events that are taking place. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.